Hey, Sip&Talkers, welcome back for another deep dive with, well, your favorite duo. It's another round of, whatever you sent us. We're back at it again with a brand new set of listener intel, right? So how's your week? Anything exciting? Mine was pretty average, I guess, until I realized my neighbor's been stealing my Wi-Fi. Yeah, and they've been using it to, download terabytes of cat videos. I mean, that's impressive. Like, how many cat videos can one person even watch? I know, right? It's a lot of bandwidth. Maybe they're secretly training for the Cat Video Olympics or something. Maybe. Speaking of training, you'll never guess who emailed us again. Isn't my Jim sending me those passive aggressive reminders that my free trial is about to end? Nope. Or it's Micky, a retail warrior. Oh, Micky, the guy who deals with way more annoying customers than a self-checkout line on a Sunday afternoon. I'm already getting secondhand stress just thinking about it. He's back with this new tactic he calls the 3-minute rule, and trust me, this one's a game changer. What's the 3-minute rule all about? So Micky's on the front lines of retail, right? Dealing with customers all day long, and let's be real, not all customers are created equal. I spent 20 minutes helping a customer, and then right as I'm ringing her up, she's like, oh, I was just browsing, and walked away. Talk about a soul-crushing experience. Ugh, the worst. And that's where the 3-minute rule comes in, right? So Micky says he gives each customer, a quick spiel about a product, the key features, the benefits. 30 seconds, a minute max. Then he shuts up and watches, kind of like a silent auction for attention. And he's looking for those telltale signs like, do they lean in? Are they asking questions? Do they pick it up and actually examine it? Yeah. Or are they just wandering around aimlessly, eyes glazed over, probably, checking their phones? Yeah. So it's like a built-in BS detector for serious shoppers versus those who are just, existing in retail space. And if they don't show any genuine interest after 3 minutes, he makes a graceful exit. Asking for a friend. What are some of Micky's go-to moves? Well, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. He might pretend to check inventory in the back, maybe tidy up a nearby display. Okay. Or, even get distracted by something else on the sales floor. Smooth moves, right? He's like a retail ninja. So it begs the question, though, why are some customers so, high maintenance? It's interesting. I think part of it is that shopping has just become more than just a transaction. It's an experience, a form of entertainment almost. I actually really enjoy browsing in bookstores, even if I don't buy anything. The atmosphere, the smell of old books, the chance to maybe discover something new. And for some people, it goes even beyond that. It's about the control, the thrill of the hunt, the feeling of getting a deal. They're on a quest to, conquer the retail landscape, armed with coupons and discount apps. But we also have to think about the pressure on retail workers, right? Like Micky. There's this constant push to sell, meet those quotas, and keep those customers happy no matter what. It's like they're trapped in a never-ending game show where the prize is a commission check and the penalty for losing is a stern talking to from your manager. And you've also got those surveillance cameras watching your every move, tracking your every interaction, they're watching them fold T-shirts. It's becoming increasingly common in the retail industry. We actually dug up this research paper called Service Industry Human Rights, okay? And it dives into this whole debate between worker rights and, business needs. So we've got customers looking for an experience, workers feeling the pressure, and all of this is happening under the watchful eye of Big Brother. This is getting deep. I'm ready to sip some knowledge and dive deep into this rabbit hole. What do you say, Sip&Talkers? Are you with us? Welcome back, Sip&Talkers, where we take your questions, thoughts, random musings, and turn them into a deep dive of knowledge and entertainment. And today's deep dive is brought to you by caffeine. Oh, yeah. Because let's be real, we need all the help we can get to stay focused with all this information. Okay, so before we're talking about this service industry human rights paper and how it's shedding light on this whole clash between, what workers need and what businesses are demanding. Yeah, it's a fascinating read. It really gets into the nitty-gritty of the modern workplace. And it's not just about retail. It's about, every industry where workers are on those front lines, dealing with customers and trying to make a living, You hit the nail on the head. Think about it, restaurants, healthcare, even tech support. Everywhere you look, workers are feeling the pressure. And businesses are trying to keep up with these ever-changing demands of the market. Everyone's in this high-stakes dance, constantly trying to find the rhythm, but kind of stepping on each other's toes in the process, right? But seriously, where do we go from here? Is there even a way to make this dance work for everyone? But this research paper does point to some interesting trends and potential solutions. Well, one thing they highlighted was this, growing use of technology in the workplace. okay? And not just for, like online ordering or scheduling appointments.
Right.
We're talking like AI-powered management systems, surveillance tools that like track worker productivity down to the minute, even algorithms that like predict customer behavior. It's like sci-fi movie level intense. So this is a good thing or a bad thing? On one hand, technology can like make things more efficient, personalize those customer experiences, and even create like new job opportunities. But on the other hand, it can also lead to like increased surveillance, job displacement, and this feeling of being constantly like monitored and measured. Like you're not just competing with other humans for a job anymore. You're competing with algorithms. It's like they're coming for our job and our sanity. But some forward-thinking companies are realizing that investing in their employees, treating them fairly, giving them a voice can actually lead to, better productivity, higher morale, and ultimately a more successful business. When you think about it, happy workers, happy customers, happy bottom line. And it's not just about like altruism, it's also good business sense. When employees feel valued and empowered, they're more likely to be, engaged, innovative, and committed to the company's success. They actually care about the work they're doing. So it's like a ripple effect. Treat your workers right, they'll treat your customers right, and everyone benefits. Except maybe the CEOs who are used to hoarding all the profits. Maybe, maybe not. But the point is, this shift in thinking from viewing workers as like expendable cogs in a machine to actually recognizing them as like valuable assets, this is crucial for navigating the future of work. Well, one more thing the paper mentioned, and I think it's a crucial point, is the role of government and policy. Besides arguing about it on Twitter, governments have this responsibility, right, to create a level playing field, to ensure that workers have basic protections and promote fair labor practices. We're talking about things like, minimum wage laws, safety regulations, and even policies that like support worker organizing and collective bargaining. It's about like setting the rules of the game, making sure everyone's playing fair and not just letting, those big corporations rig the system in their favor. And the truth is, we're all in this together. Workers, businesses, governments, we all need to be part of this conversation about like how to create a future of work that's both, fair and sustainable. This is heavy stuff. I need another sip of my drink to process all of this. But you know what, Sip and Talkers, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows better what customers want than like the people who are interacting with them every single day, giving them the tools and resources to make a real impact. So Happy Threads is all about like giving employees a seat at the table, right? And I think it all goes back to, Micky and his 3-minute rule. It's a reminder that we all have the power to like set boundaries, advocate for ourselves, and, create a work life that is both fulfilling and sustainable. And on that note, Sip and Talkers, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. But the conversation doesn't end here. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on, the future of work? Have you experienced any of these challenges or, maybe found some creative solutions? Share your stories, your tips, your dreams with us on our socials. And as always, stay curious, keep learning, and never stop sipping and talking. I just want to give another shout out to Micky from MickyTolife. His channel is a treasure trove of inspiration, and he's a huge Sip and Talk fan.
Absolutely. Make sure to check him out and maybe even share your awesome podcast intro with him once you've created it.
Welcome back to Sip and Talk, everybody. It's great to be back with you all.
It's good to be back.
Now, things were a little different last week.
A little bit, yeah. Where were you?
Well, it was just say that I had a little staycation.
Ooh.
I had a little time to myself.
I like it.
To relax and, just enjoy the quiet.
Nice.
It was so quiet, in fact, that I almost forgot how to do this show with another person.
Oh, no.
So I'm really glad that you're back.
Thanks. I'm happy to be back.
Because I was starting to feel like a one-man band trying to play all the instruments at once.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. But speaking of pretty, we have a really interesting deep dive lined up for today.
Okay.
And this one is actually inspired by one of our listeners.
All right.
Micky reached out to us feeling a little burnt out.
Yeah.
With work and life in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is in this modern world?
I do.
Everything's so fast-paced and demanding.
It is.
It's hard to keep up.
I feel it.
So Micky sent us a bunch of articles and some of their own personal reflections, which I thought was so cool that they took the time to do that.
That's dedication.
It is, and it really got us thinking about the bigger picture here.
The big questions, yeah.
Yeah, about how work is changing and how we fit into all of it.
Definitely.
And from what I've seen so far, Micky's dealing with some pretty intense stuff.
Like what?
Well, we're talking about the changing nature of work, the pressure of technology, this always-on culture, and to top it all off, They're feeling super micromanaged at their job.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
So buckle up, everyone, because we're about to dive deep into Micky's world.
Yeah.
And see if we can unearth some insights along the way.
Let's go.
All right, first up is this excerpt titled Farewell to Shachiku.
Farewell to Shachiku.
Yeah, it's about this Japanese concept of Shachiku,
Okay.
which literally translates to company livestock.
Company livestock. That's powerful imagery.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that before?
Well, I had heard the term before,
Yeah.
but I didn't really understand the full weight of it until I read this excerpt.
Okay.
It's not just about being a wage slave
Yeah.
or feeling burnt out.
Right.
Shachiku captures this sense of being completely dehumanized by your work.
Wow.
To the point where your identity is consumed by it.
It's like you become a part of the machine.
Exactly. And the excerpt paints a pretty grainy picture of the situation in Japan.
Oh.
With like 20% of employees working more than 80 hours of overtime a month.
80 hours, that's more than 2 full-time jobs.
I know, it's crazy. And the excerpt also talks about how cultural factors like collectivism and self-sacrifice play a role in this whole Shachiku phenomenon.
That's interesting because it makes you think about how cultural norms can really influence our relationship with work.
Absolutely. And it's not just Japan. We see these kinds of pressures in workplaces all over the world.
Right. It's like this global phenomenon of people feeling trapped and overworked.
Yeah, and it's interesting to compare that Japanese example to the points raised in the excerpt from work, identity, and quitting.
Okay, so...
Well, even though it focuses on the gig economy and remote work, which are very different setups from traditional Japanese workplaces, there's still this underlying theme of feeling trapped.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's like with gig work, you've got this constant hustle for the next job, the uncertainty, the pressure to market yourself.
And the lack of benefits.
Exactly. And with remote work, the isolation can be a real struggle.
Oh, for sure. I've definitely felt that.
It's like you're trying to escape the old system, but you end up in another kind of cage.
Yeah, you're just trading one set of problems for another.
Right, and I think that's something that Micky can probably relate to.
For sure, because they're feeling that squeeze from both sides.
They are. And it's interesting to think about how those feelings of being trapped or losing yourself in work are connected to the broader changes in how work is structured these days.
Yeah, like what are the big forces at play here?
Well, we've got the gig economy, remote work, the rise of automation. It's a whole new ballgame.
Definitely the rules of the game are changing, and we're all trying to figure out how to play.
It's exciting
and scary all at the same time.
It is. And I think that's a good place to pause for.
All right.
We've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
So stay tuned because we'll be right back after a quick break.
Sounds good. All right, so we've been talking about this feeling of being trapped in the modern work world.
Yeah, it's like we're all hamsters on a wheel, running and running, but never really getting anywhere. But what about this whole micromanagement thing that Micky's dealing with?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
It is, and it's something that I think a lot of people can relate to.
For sure, especially in today's work world where there's so much emphasis on efficiency and productivity.
It's like everyone's trying to squeeze every last drop out of their employees.
And that can lead to a culture of micromanagement.
Where managers are constantly looking over their employees' shoulders, second-guessing their decisions, and basically treating them like children.
Which is so demoralizing.
It is. It makes people feel like they're not trusted or respected.
And it can really stifle creativity and innovation.
Because if you're constantly worried about making a mistake or getting in trouble, you're not going to take any risks.
Right. You're just going to play it safe and do the bare minimum.
Which is not good for anyone.
No, it's not.
Right.
So what's the solution?
Well, I think it starts with trust. Yeah, managers need to trust their employees to do their jobs.
And employees need to trust their managers to support them.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. And when there's trust, there's less need for micromanagement.
Because managers feel confident that their employees are capable of handling their responsibilities.
And employees feel empowered to take ownership of their work.
It's a win-win.
Definitely. But I think it's also important to remember that micromanagement is often a symptom of a larger problem.
Like what?
Well, it could be a sign that the manager is insecure or inexperienced.
Or that the company culture is toxic.
Right. So it's important to address the root cause of the problem, not just the symptoms.
Okay, so let's say you're in a situation where you're being micromanaged. What can you do about it?
Well, the first step is to try to understand why your manager is micromanaging you.
So have a conversation with them.
Exactly. Try to get their perspective.
And let them know how their behavior is making you feel.
Right, because sometimes managers don't even realize that they're micromanaging.
They might think they're just being helpful or supportive.
Exactly. So it's important to have an open and honest conversation.
And if that doesn't work,
then you might need to escalate the issue.
to HR.
Or to a higher level manager.
But that's a last resort.
It is, because it can be a risky move.
But sometimes it's necessary.
Especially if the micromanagement is creating a hostile work environment.
Okay, so we've talked about technology and micromanagement.
What else is on our list?
Well, we haven't really talked about the feeling wrong aspect of work that Jack Ma mentioned.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It is, and I think it's something that we've all experienced at some point in our careers.
Definitely, we've all had those moments where we felt undervalued, unappreciated, or even disrespected at work.
Like that time I got passed over for a promotion.
Oh, no, what happened?
Well, I had been working really hard.
Yeah.
And I thought I was a shoo-in for the job.
You deserved it.
I thought so too, but then they gave it to someone else.
Someone less qualified.
I don't know about that, but they definitely had less experience.
So what did you do?
Well, I was devastated at first,
Of course.
but then I realized that it wasn't the end of the world.
Right.
I knew that I was valuable and that there were other opportunities out there.
So you decided to move on?
Eventually, yeah. But I learned a lot from that experience.
Like what?
Well, I learned that it's important to advocate for yourself
Always.
and to know your worth.
Exactly, and to not be afraid to walk away from a situation that's not serving you.
I'm glad you learned from it.
Me too, because it's a tough lesson to learn.
But it's an important one.
It is, and it's something that Micky might need to hear right now.
You're right, because they're clearly feeling wronged in their current job.
And they might need to consider walking away.
But that's a big decision.
It is, and it's not one to be taken lightly.
But sometimes it's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Absolutely, because life's too short to be miserable at work.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive about work and identity.
We have from Japan to the gig economy to micromanagement.
It's a lot to process.
It is, but I think it's important to bring it back to Micky and their specific situation.
Right, because that's what this whole deep dive is about.
Exactly. So where do we leave Micky?
Well, they wrote in feeling burnt out, micromanaged, and basically trapped in their service industry job.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in.
It is. But I think we've given them some good food for thought.
Definitely, we've talked about the importance of self-awareness,
Setting boundaries,
redefining success.
and having honest conversation.
All of those things can be really helpful for someone who's feeling stuck in a rut.
And I think it's important to remember that Micky's not alone in this.
Oh, absolutely. So many people are feeling the same way.
Yeah, it's like a collective existential crisis.
It kind of is, but the good news is that we're all in this together.
Right. And there are things we can do to make things better.
Starting with ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Micky, if you're listening, we hope you're feeling empowered.
Yeah, we want you to know that you have choices.
Even in a system that feels restrictive.
You can always choose how you respond to a situation.
And you can always choose to make a change.
Even if it's a small one.
That's right. Every step counts.
And we believe in you, Micky.
We do. And we believe in all of our listeners who are struggling with these same issues.
You're not alone.
And we're here to support you on your journey.
So keep listening, keep learning, and keep growing.
And remember that the conversation doesn't end here.
Right. We encourage you to continue exploring these topics.
To share your thoughts and experiences with others.
And to never stop questioning the status quo.
Because that's how we create a better world of work.
For everyone.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, folks.
Until next time.
Stay curious.